Have we all been before? Is there new faces, or is it, or maybe once or twice? Once before. Young lady down the back, you came once before. Welcome back then. So I didn't scare you away the first time, no? Not quite. There's always the second time, right? Let me just pop this music on for a moment. There we are. Okay, so we know roughly what to expect then. Hello, welcome guys. There's Matt's in there. Yep. Help yourselves. Okay, so obviously there's a camera in the way. Those of us that have not seen the camera before, it's not pointed at any of you, it's just at me. I record some of the practices. We've had a few weeks break from the camera. I try to record them intermittently, sort of at least one a month, so that I can keep a record and you guys can revisit your practices as well. So you can go onto the website, it's free, you know, and you can listen to me ramble on or waffle on, or you can maybe check in and try and find out what those verbal cues were. Do I internally rotate or externally rotate, or where did he say put the hand, or whatever. Sometimes that's nice to go back and kind of revisit it and suss it out, work it out, you know. Or if you can't get enough of the practice that I offer, then when I'm away or when you're away, you know, or if you don't fancy braving the cold, I know it's not, don't apply today, it's been lovely weather the last couple of days, but then obviously you can head online and do it at home as well, in the comfort of your own space. So yeah, that's the camera. Have we all practiced yoga before? We have, we know roughly what to expect. Yeah, okay, all right. No pressure, don't worry. It's not a performance, we're not comparing ourselves to other people, or, you know, or certainly not to me. We're not trying to keep up with the cues that I give, the verbal instructions that I give, because they're not really instructions, they're suggestions. My job's to guide you and help refine your awareness, you know, of your body, both on the sort of external physiological level and deeper as well. Your emotion and the fluctuations, the thoughts, the feelings, all of that business. There we go. So I just remembered that I haven't turned it up yet. I like to play music as well. Obviously, it's kind of ironic playing music in a yoga practice, because part of the, especially if you're very serious about your yoga practice, part of the point in it, when we start to dive deeper and go more towards like the traditional roots, is dissolution of the self and detaching from the suffering of the individuality of the self and all that business. And so stimuli in the environment, you know, isn't necessarily a great, you know, isn't conducive to that, but actually it might help facilitate a calmer mind, you know. That's part of the reason that we do things like that, isn't it? Have gentle lighting and incense and bits and pieces like that. All right. Have we got ailments or injuries or conditions that I need to know about? Anything new that relates to yoga or moving your body that you might need to tell me? No? Okay, that's good. Have we got questions? No, of course not. Or concerns? No, all right. Okay, I'll try to give options, so I'll try to give different variations of positions. If I forget, it doesn't mean they're not there. Do listen to your body, all right? If you think, oh, that hurts, I don't think this is right, then don't do it. That's your body's way of telling you don't do it, all right? And try and find a different version. For example, if and when we head up into a side plank, if you think, oh, this is too much for the wrist or too much to the shoulder, and I don't say drop the knee, you know, if you wish or whatever, then drop the knee. You know, support your body weight, make it a little less intensive, or maybe come into a tabletop position and take a soft rotation. If push in and there's something going on here, or there's something going on here, or the spine hurts, anything like that, you know, just try and take your own version of a position, all right? Okay, that's it. I'll stop waffling on. We'll start standing up today. So if we come to the top front of the mat, I'll DJ a little bit better quickly. Here we are. Turn that music up. So just bringing the hands to heart centre, arriving on the mat. I'm making sure that you're not in. I don't think you are. Good. So connecting the palms. And just bringing the awareness to the body now. So if the awareness was a bubble, we're shrinking that bubble. Just bring it into you, the mat. That immediate space around you. Want to soften the arms, the shoulders, soften the legs. If you're tensing the quads, those muscles in the front of the thighs, then just release them, soften. Stand tall, but relaxed, gentle, grounding through the soles of the feet. Scan the awareness head to toe. Observe the body in the state that it's in with a quiet mind, without judgment. Are there aches? Are there pains? Are there ailments? Is there an injury? You might be aware that it's quite warm in here, or perhaps the body feels cold. So just gently observe and then shift the awareness a little deeper to the breath. Consciously inhaling in through the nose, expand the tummy and the rib cage. And as we exhale, be sure to empty out that exhalation. So really force out that last bit of breath by allowing the abdomen to constrict and shrink. Nice deep cycles of balanced breath. On the next exhalation, just releasing the hands down by the side, the palms can face forwards here. As we inhale, taking the arms wide and high, reaching up. Allow the head to drop back slightly here, tuck the tailbone, find length through the spine. Exhalation to release the hands nice and wide, like a swan dive down towards the earth. Allow a bend in the knees here, round off through the back, just enough so that we can ground the palms. Inhalation to flatten the back, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, look forwards. So you can bring the hands to the shins here as well. If you find that fingertips on the earth is too much, and just rise enough to facilitate that long flat back. You want to create length in the spine on the inward breath. And as we exhale, straightening the legs up a little more as we fold in. We can bring hands to the earth or take a soft bind. We're not forcing anything this early in the practice. Inhale to begin to rise. We'll walk the hands up the legs slowly. Uncoil, stack the vertebra. Roll the shoulders back. Lift the chin as the arms go wide and high. Reach up. On the outward breath, releasing the hands again towards the earth. Allow a bend in the knees, but step the left leg back for Anjaneyasana, a low lunge on that left side. We want to drop the knee, untuck the toes. Choose to stay down, but have a long flat back here. Lift the chin, maybe on the fingertips, or rise and reach. Send the arms towards the sky. Lean into that front leg. For 5, for 4, try to soften a little bit, let the groin be heavy on 3, for 2, and for 1. Inhale to lengthen, push into that right foot. Exhalation, release the hands, frame the foot, rock the weight back for a half split. Ardha Hanumanasana, we straighten that leg and the spine on the inward breath. If it's available on the exhalation, fold a little deeper over that front leg. You might find that it's very tight in the hamstring. If that's the case and you're up here somewhere, so the body won't let me get forwards, maybe lean off to one side and work your way towards straightening that leg. But make sure you keep the back straight, push out through the tailbone and work your way around towards the front. Shift the weight forwards again and rise once more. Anjaneyasana, sweep the arms up. Big deep breath here, but we won't stay. Exhalation, release the hands, frame that front foot. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, or the knee at the back, and rock back to step forwards here. A halfway lift, flatten the back. And exhale, fold. Bring the abdomen, the chest towards the thighs, the knees. We'll round off and rise again, so slowly uncoil. Imagine stacking the vertebrae one by one on top of each other as we rise. Arms go wide and high. Big deep breath. Exhalation to release the hands. Same as before, but on the other side. So frame the feet, step the right leg back, drop that right knee, untuck the toes. We can choose to stay low, so perhaps we come onto the fingertips, we lean, a heavy groin, but reach and lengthen through the spine, lift the chin, or sweep the arms, rise. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release the hands. Frame that front foot, rock the weight back. Straighten the leg and the spine for the half Hanuman. Fold over the front leg. If you find that you're able to go quite deep here in this fold, try to soften the quads here, so these muscles on the front of the thigh, especially if you're able to support the weight and lean forwards there with an active foot. Try to soften the upper part of the leg, as if I come over and started wiggling the kneecap, it would move. And we're not resisting, we're not fighting against the stretch of the hamstring. Sometimes we tense up to protect if something makes us uncomfortable, if it hurts. And there's a sweet spot in between resisting and risking more damage if we're forcing ourselves deeper into the stretch. And then activation, which is something else entirely. Let's shift the weight forwards, rise and reach again, sweep the arms up. We won't stay. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to release the hands. Frame the foot, support the weight, tuck the toes, lift the knee. We want to rock back, then step forwards, halfway lift, flatten the back. This time as we exhale, we ground the palms, step or bounce back to a high plank. So you might want to take that little bunny hop, kick the legs out, but really push the earth away. Start to grip with the fingertips, round off the upper back, tuck the tailbone slightly here. We're activating the core, we're pulling the tummy in on the outward breath. 4, 3. For 2, and for 1. Take a deep breath, expand the tummy, then exhalation, drop the knees, chest, chin or forehead for Chaturanga Dandasana. Lower down to the ground. Pull the shoulders back, but don't push with the hands, just lift enough to look forwards, inward breath. Exhalation, take a bow. This time we'll push, try to pull the shoulders down and back away from the ears as we lift up, Bhujangasana, Cobra. Exhale, wave the body back down. One more time, nice and high, really push away. Lift the chin. Then release down towards the earth. We'll tuck the toes away through the body, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Make sure the hips lift on this one, straight arms. Then drop the knees, round off. As we start to sink the weight back, we want to slide the hands back till they're below the shoulders, and then tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone, release the breath. Inhale for Vittalasana, drop the spine, lift the head and push up and out through the tailbone. Really push the earth away here. For 3, for 2, and for 1. On the next exhalation to round off Madhyasana. And then in, as we drop the spine and lift. And then out, as we round off. Tuck the chin and tailbone. Let's sink the weight back now for Balasana. Widen the knees very slightly. Bring the big toes together. Start to slide the hands away as we take a bow towards the ground. A couple of deep cycles of breath here. Let the tailbone be heavy. Almost push into the earth as well. So almost push the front of the mat away from you to help you sink a little bit. And breathe those nice, deep, balanced cycles of breath. For 3. For 2. And for 1. Beginning to rise again, the same way that we entered, but round off on the way up. Slide the hands back about 8 inches and then round off. Tuck the chin and tailbone, Madhyasana. Drop the spine, Vittalasana, up and out through the crown of the head and tailbone again, but this time come back through that neutral position. Tuck the toes, lift the knees just enough to hover above the ground. We'll slide backwards, then upwards, Adho Mukha Svanasana. As the heels get heavy, the fingers, the hands slide forwards very slightly. Create that length, let the crown of the head sink towards the earth. Push up and out through the tailbone. For 5. For 4. For 3, for 2, and for 1.
Let the weight shift forward slightly and the heels lift. We almost round off the upper back very slightly as we adjust left foot to 45 or even 90 degrees if it feels right. And then sweep that right foot out off the mat now to a 3 o'clock position. We want to sink down and back and push up and out through the tailbone, long flat spine. Try not to karate kick your water bottle if you can help it. There we go. So we've got a heavy chest here. We're letting the gravity pull down on us as we exhale, but push up and out through the tailbone. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Start to rise enough to support the weight. Adjust that right hand to the top center of the mat. You want to bring the right leg underneath the body out towards the left side. We can ground through the blade of the foot here as we reach left arm towards the sky in our fallen triangle. Or there's an option to lift that right foot off the ground, but really push the earth away. We're not holding for long, it's early on. For 3, 2, and 1. Twist and turn back to the high plank. Bring that right foot and left hand to the ground. Just push the earth away, round off the upper back very slightly, shoulder blades shift towards the outside of the back. Then we lower knees, chest, chin, all with control, slow and steady. Chaturanga Dandasana, wave through the body, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana and Adho Mukha Svanasana. Push up and out through the tailbone. Make sure you arrive. And let the weight shift slightly forwards again, round off through the upper back. So it's almost as if we just release and soften a little bit. And we're adjusting that right foot to 45 this time, sweeping the left foot out of the mat towards 9 o'clock. See if you can hit your neighbour's water bottle this time. And sink down towards the ground, push up and out through the tailbone. So there's an option to come onto the fingertips, really lengthen, almost stretch where the lats are, those muscles next to the armpits. For 5, you might feel it in the upper arms, the deltoids as well, those muscles at the top of the arm. For 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Shift the weight forwards again. Ground through the left palm, top center of the mat. Sweep the left leg out underneath the body. Strong rear ankle here, inside ankle. Reach the right arm towards the sky. Push the earth away. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Release back to the high plank, Phalakasana, lower Chaturanga Dandasana. Slide back a little bit here before the wave up to Urdhva, and then Adho Mukha Svanasana. As soon as we arrive, sweep that right leg to the sky, Tripada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Remember, we're pushing the front of the mat away from us, almost as if we were trying to send the chest towards the rear of the mat. Let that left heel be heavy. And then step forwards, underneath the body towards the front. We'll take a warrior 2 here. So drop the rear heel, Virabhadrasana. Sweep the left arm up and around, rise on the inward breath. Exhalation to sink down over that front leg. So right knee's above right ankle. Pull the left shoulder back. Make sure we're not leaning just yet. For 3, for 2, and for 1. To reverse the warrior, we turn that front palm up, start to reach forwards, search for a half bind, left hand around the back here. Maybe the body allows you to grab hold of that hip or that upper inner right thigh. Then as we inhale, rise, straighten the legs slightly on the inward breath. Start to pull the left shoulder back. Exhalation, sink back down into that leg. Look up to the hand or down towards the rear foot. Try not to let that front knee collapse or drop in. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to your warrior 2. Make sure you arrive again. Exhalation, sink into the position, but then bring the hands to heart center for Skandasana. Rock the weight back, start to straighten that front leg, sink down. And it's okay if you rise up onto the ball of the foot here, that rear foot. It's not a problem. For 3, for 2, And for one, try to crawl or hover towards the front of the mat now. Line up the hands with that front foot, so all the heels line up. Ball of the rear foot. As we exhale, we bow down. As we inhale, we lengthen the spine and look forwards for our lizard. 4, 3, let the groin be heavy here, but really activate that rear leg as well. So we're tensing up the muscles in that rear leg, pushing out through the heel. For 2, and for 1. Nice firm push into the left hand. Shift the weight towards the left side. It's that tricky step back with the right foot as we send the right arm to the sky for Vasisthasana. So if you're not sure, take a peek to this body. I'll lean into the left hand and I'll send the right foot back, then sweep left arm up towards the sky. Push the right hip up slightly as well. We've got an option to drop onto that left knee if this feels a little too much, or even if you want to go a little bit further and get a little bit spicy with it, you can take that right foot up above the right hip height. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come back to the high plank, slow and steady. And lower chaturanga. Maybe hover above the ground for a moment, then wave again. Urdhva and Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let's take a walk here. Really wiggle the tailbone side to side. We're going to head towards the front. Slow and steady. Don't forget the breath. As we arrive, a halfway lift. Inhale. Then exhale, take a fold. We'll rise to the top, slow and steady. Arms go wide and high, reach up. And exhale, bringing the hands to heart center. Samasthiti. As soon as we arrive here, soften the shoulders, soften the legs. Awareness to the breath again. So not worrying about what's going on around us. Deep cycles of breath. For 3. For 2. And for 1. As we exhale, release the hands down by the side. And as we inhale, reach wide and high. Find your length again. Exhalation, begin to fold. Uttanasana, the forward fold. Halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Peek forwards, flatten the back. We're going to push out through the tailbone here. We're creating length in the spine. Exhalation to ground the palms, maybe a high plank first, then your Chaturanga Dandasana, or take a bounce with me. Remember to lean forwards, bring the shoulders in front of the wrists slightly, little bend in the knees. It's like that little donkey kick when we're, as a child, practicing to do a handstand. You want to kick the legs up and then back into the low plank. Wave through the body, up, and back to our Adho Mukha Svanasana. Find stillness for a moment here. Push out through the tailbone. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's sweep that left leg up this time to the sky. Let the right heel be heavy, hips parallel to the earth ideally, pushing towards the rear of the mat, really pushing back. And then we'll step under the body, warrior 2 on the left side. Virabhadrasana, drop that rear heel, sweep or windmill that arm up and around. Rise a little higher than we need to on the inward breath. Then as we exhale, sink down, find your alignment on the way down. Remember, it's perfectly okay to have a little look at the rear arm. Often that's not where we think it is. Pull the right shoulder back, pull that right hip back as well. Everything points to the side, but keep the knee above the ankle as much as is available. Make sure that before we transition, we're not already reaching forwards. We want to keep the spine vertical, so there's this kind of longitudinal axis at the same time as we have this horizontal axis as well. Then we lean, we reach forwards, turn the palm up, take that half bind around the back, pull the shoulder back as we straighten the leg and reach and rise. Exhalation to sink down
into the front leg. Make sure that left knee doesn't collapse inwards. Remember to pull the shoulder back here. For 5, 4, 3, remembering to breathe. 2, and 1. Come back to the warrior 2. Extend the arms, really reach out. Focus the middle finger of that left hand. That's your drishti, your focal point for the gaze, for the eyes. Then bring the hands to heart center, rock the weight back. Skandasana, a bend in the rear leg, sink down. For 5, 4, that's it. It's okay to support the weight as well. If your Skandasana looks like this, you're up here somewhere, or you're leaning on that rear leg, or you've got one hand down and supporting the weight, that's fine as well. You're listening to the body, you're taking what's available. And then transition towards the front. Start to move, so we creep, we can maybe crawl towards the front, or we can hover, and then bring both hands to the ground. Line them up with that front foot, ball of the rear foot. Start to activate, really straighten that leg, push out through the rear heel here. So we kind of lift that leg up, the rear leg, but at the same time we want to sink the groin, let the groin be heavy. Take a bow, release the breath, round off almost. Then inhale, straighten up, lengthen through the spine, look forwards. For 3, for 2, that's it. And for 1. Shift the weight slightly towards the right hand. Quickly send that left leg towards the back, or the left foot towards the back, and then reach left hand towards the sky. Vashisthasana. Remember, we can drop the knee here or lift the foot. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly releasing back towards high plank Phalakasana. Lower for Chaturanga Dandasana. Urdhva, upward face. And then Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward face. Let's take a slow, steady walk towards the front. But when we arrive, head towards the squat, so wide feet towards the outside of the mat. Support the weight, ease yourself down by rocking side to side. And be kind to the knees and the hips on the way down. If and when it feels right, we can sink into stillness, heavy tailbone. Start to lengthen, find that little dimple above the knee with the upper arm, the elbows, that's it. And we can use that as a kind of anchor point to help widen, don't force it though. Long spine. For 3. Deep cycles of breath here. Inhale to lengthen. And then as we exhale, start to round off the back, tuck the chin. We're going to rock back, catch the feet for happy baby. Ananda Balasana. Sink down with a long spine, a little rock side to side here. Remember, we're widening the knees, widening the thighs. But at the same time, pulling down as well. Maybe we bind around the backs of the knees if the feet feel a little too far away, or if to grab hold of the feet, we notice that the tailbone lifts. If we've got this going on, then really we need to adjust that bind, because we don't want to round off through the back. We want to keep the spine flat, so we can just focus our attention on the pelvis and using the femurs, those bones in the thighs, to kind of ease the pelvis open. That's it. So work with what's available. For 3. Maybe there's a little rock side to side here. For 2. And for 1. So ultimately we want to head towards our Chaturanga Dandasana again. So prepare to bring the knees in towards the abdomen. We'll take a little hug. Lift nose to knee, empty the breath out.
and then crossing the feet. As we start to rock back, then forwards. You can go through your high plank, your Valakasana first, then lower down to Chaturanga, or if you want to try and join me. As we rock forwards, we'll go through and I'll show you, a demo it. We go through the seated position, ground the palms, and as we ground the palms, use that momentum to then kick the legs out behind and try and catch yourself in the low plank. So we rock back, rock forwards, ground, lift, and then kick back into the low plank. Come on, hurry up. Good. Wave through the body. Urdhva. Heavy hips, but they're lifted here. And then back to our child's pose. Widen the knees. Bring the big toes together. But this time, as soon as that space between the eyebrows touches the earth, sweep the arms around towards the heels. And then soften. Be heavy and loose in the shoulders. There's even an option to turn the head to one side, but just be careful with the neck if you do that. So we're just softening with a nice, heavy, floppy body almost. For 5. For 4. For 3, for 2, and for 1. Again, pushing into the forehead here. Start to sweep the arms wide, out and around towards the front again. We want to line the hands up at shoulder width here. Come onto the fingertips to support the weight. Really stretch through the arms, then peek forwards. There's an inward breath as we rise slightly. As we exhale, start to sink down, release the hands and begin to slide forwards. So we're really pushing up and out through the bottom, through the tailbone here. But we've got a heavy chest and heavy chin, so we're sinking everything down towards the earth. So if you find already in the middle back or the upper back between the shoulder blades, this is too intense, you might want to come onto the forearms. But otherwise, as we slide forwards, aim to stop when the hips are more or less above the knees, but let the chest be really heavy. So as we exhale, we sink that upper body and that upper region down towards the earth. Notice if you finish the exhalation, you really push that last bit of breath out, that constriction, that shrinkage that happens across the abdomen, especially in that central region of the abdomen. Everything pulls in. That sensation, that pulling in, that vacuuming sensation is the beginning of the lock, the Uddiyana Bandha. So learn to recognize that sensation in a position like this. Shishossana, or in the downward facing dog. So at the bottom of the outward breath. Start to head forwards now. Begin to push into the elbows and the forearms immediately as we rise. Even if it's just an inch or two off of the mat with the head, start to tuck the tailbone. So begin almost like a wave at the bottom of the spine and work that wave up the spine until eventually the chin fully tucks in towards the chest. And then we lower, again from that lower region, pelvis towards the ground. As the navel makes its way closer, we want to activate the lower back just enough for us to slide the arms out until the elbows arrive below the shoulders. The moment they do so, wide fingers outstretched, grip at the earth, Hasta Bandha, that's a hand lock on the ground, almost as if you're going to lift the elbows off. There's no need to do that. We're going to push the earth away, lift the chin, the Sphinx. For 5. For 4. For 3. 2. And for 1. One hand stacks on top of the other in the center now. We lift both elbows, then we lower down to Makarasana. Soften here, wiggle side to side, push the pelvis into the earth. We're sinking into the mud like the crocodile here. And then take a moment in stillness, let the heart beat against the ground. Good time for a little power nap. Just no snoring. Preparing to rise again towards Vimanasana, the Superman, or indeed Superwoman. We lift the legs, really reach out, lift the arms, look forwards. And we'll hold here now for 20 minutes, all right? 4, 3, 4, 2, and for 1. Bring the hands beneath the shoulders. Start to tuck the chin again, same as we did before. Try to round off the back, the lower back especially, immediately as we drop all the way up and back down to our Balasana, our child's pose. The arms sweep wide around towards the heels. Take a bind either around the heels if it's available or the ankles, and we want to start to activate the core, deliberately round the spine now. We're bringing the head in towards the knees, almost as if we're going to try and tuck the head in between the knees, which is what we want to do, and then bring the crown of the head towards the ground. As the crown of the head touches, we almost roll across the top here and begin to lift the tailbone. But use that bind with the hands around the ankles or the heels as a brake to stop you from going through too far. We want to be very careful with the neck here. Don't put full body weight onto it. It's very slight, and we'll control how much weight we put on depending on how far forwards or not we tip ourselves, how much we lift the tailbone. But equally, don't resist. Try to soften the neck here. Feel that stretch. And then beginning to roll back across the crown of the head until the forehead comes to the ground. Take that classic Ananda Balasana once more. Let the arms be heavy and loose. Release that little bind from the ankles or the heels. A deep cycle of breath here. And then sweeping the arms around towards the front, nice and long, same as before. Push into the forehead. Come onto the fingertips, really stretching out through the armpits as we look forwards and rise slightly. Exhalation to rise to Madhyasana. Start to tuck the tailbone and the chin, round off the spine again. Let the hands slide back until shoulders are above the wrists. Then drop the spine, Vittalasana. Lift up and out through the crown of the head and the tailbone. Really push the earth away. Then come back to that neutral position. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, same as we did before. Just enough to slide backwards, upwards. Let the heels be heavy and the hands to slide a touch forwards. Create that space, a little bit of distance. 4, 3, 4, 2. And for 1, take the right leg to the sky. Tripada Mukha Svanasana. Reach out through the tip of the toes here. And then taking a bend in the right leg, we're going to sweep it underneath the body. The knee first travels towards the left side just to give us enough momentum to bring it back and sweep it towards the right. We want a kind of 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock position between the knee and the foot, if it's available. What we don't want to be is in the middle with the knee and sitting on top of the joint here or on top of the calf. You want it to be off to one side. So even if you're still quite sharp with that angle, that's okay, but make sure that while supporting the body weight, you shift yourself slightly over to one side, not too much, just enough to facilitate you then traveling backwards and downwards with parallel hips and the groin towards the ground. Does that make sense? So if we find that we've almost got a completely vertical leg here, or thigh here, or that's lining up, it's parallel to the outside of the mat, and then we're rocking over to the side and seated, really it means that that kind of line between the knee and the heel is too vertical. We've got to twist it off at a slight angle and then bring ourselves back. So if you find that you're there and you're dropping over to the side, try to ask that knee to come more towards the outside of the mat first, and then lift that foot just a touch. You'll feel resistance in the knee, or maybe even the glutes and the hips here. When you feel that resistance, you're doing the job. You might find you're up here and that's as much as is available, and that's okay. Something at home we can try is sitting on blocks or cushions, pillows, books, And then we want to sink down and back, a long rear leg. Roll the shoulders back, open the heart, lift the chin. This might feel nice to stay here. Or if we want to soften and surrender and take that need to activate through the spine, we can then sink down towards the ground. Nice heavy body. For 5, for 4, 3, for 2, and for 1. Beginning to rise. Push that right leg into the ground, the ankle, the knee. Support the weight as you slide or walk the hands back towards that front leg. Remember to pull the shoulders back, open the heart, reach out through that rear leg. So allow yourself to stretch through that rear leg, lift the chin. Then as we exhale and sink forwards again, just enough to lean out to the right side. Bring that hand there to support the weight. Sweep the left leg all the way around. We're going over the top and the back of that right knee if it's available. So we want to set up with the sole of the foot on the ground and the knee up. This might feel like it's too intense. If it is, at any point we can release that right leg, all right, out in front. So remember that that's an option. We're sliding the right hand up onto the head of that left knee. Inhale to reach up and then twist out and around towards the opposite side of the mat. We lean into the heel of the palm. Remember to pop the chest. We want a long, tall spine here. Then it's the right arm towards the sky, locking over the back of that left knee. And you might find you like to keep the hand up, because the moment you straighten the arm, you get a pain in the elbow. Some of us might have tennis elbow or golfer's elbow or boxer's elbow even. So lengthening that arm can hyperextend the elbow, and that's what that pain is. So keep the hand up. But it's an option if the spine allows you to twist that deep to search for the knee with the right hand. So right hand, right knee, that's it, but over the back of that leg. That's it. Twist that way. No, keep the legs. Keep the legs. That's it. So with our spinal twist, remember, when we're seated, there's that compression at play. So we need to inhale to lengthen the spine and then exhale to work the twist deeper. For 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Stay tall enough to not let the spine collapse, and shift the weight back around through the center. So uncoil. We'll lean into the right hand just to take that bind, Hasta Padangusthasana. As we extend up and out in front, start to straighten the leg as much as is available. We don't have to force it, and adjust that right leg so that we can catch sole of the foot into the inside as we lift the chin, lengthen, and follow the leg down for the fold in Janu Shirshasana. So we've got the sole of the foot tucked in, not underneath. We want to tuck it in. And we're not staying too long. Start to rise. Round off through the spine maybe as you do so. And then search for the big toe on the right foot, Hasta Padangusthasana. We'll straighten the spine as we extend out in front. Again, we're not playing too much uphill. We'll lean forwards, lead with the heart space. Keep the chin lifted on the way down. Paschimottanasana, the seated forward fold. So take a bind where you feel that deep resistance in the lower back and the hamstrings, and then wave through the spine. Almost deliberately tuck the chin on the way up to that deep inward breath. And then once you're at the top, inhale, lengthen, exhale, lift the chin and sink. Lead with the abdomen and the chest. So wave with the breath to deepen that fold. We'll take a few cycles of breath. Last deep cycle of breath here. Obviously not one very last. And then slowly beginning to rise. Bring the hands onto the legs, walk the way up. And release that tension from the shoulders as we sweep the arms wide and high. Look towards the sky, backs of the palms meet. As we search for the bind, remember to tuck the chin, shrug the shoulders here, interlace the fingers behind the tailbone. Then we roll in the shoulders back, opening the heart, and beginning to lift the hands away from the tailbone. You want to almost sit slightly forwards here and pull the feet back, activate the legs. Broaden the chest, lift the heart on the inhalation. For 3, for 2, and for 1. The hands come to the tailbone first before we release. Then we allow the spine to almost collapse. We'll bring the hands out at an angle now, kind of 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock past the hips to support the weight as we rock back. We want to cross the feet, bring them underneath the body. Then we rock forwards, reground the palms and kick back into our high plank, Phalakasana. This time, however, we're lowering the hips first. So shift the weight forwards. That we were playing with this the other week, that rock to and fro when we're in these positions, we're going through these transitions. So shift the weight forwards, then start to bring the knees and the pelvis down towards the ground. And we start to lift the chin as we bend at the elbows. It's a wave down. We want to reverse the action. So we'll tuck the toes, push into the forehead or the chin as we lift the tailbone and wave back up. Got to practice that homework one. Hand back. Has anyone actually been practicing that for homework, by the way? Because I've said that so many times. Anyone? No? It's a good job we're not at school, isn't it? We'd all have detentions. Okay, let's take the left leg up. Tripada Mukha Svanasana. Sweep it towards the sky. Keep the hips parallel, remember. Push out through the tailbone, nice and long. 3, 2, and 1. Bend that leg. We're bringing it underneath the body towards the right side. So we're drawing that. This time it's like a reverse question mark, isn't it? Back on itself. And then sinking the weight down and back. That long leg out behind us as we've got hopefully fairly parallel hips, a heavy groin. Push into the earth. Pull the shoulders back. Open the heart. Lift the chin. Exhalation to slide or walk the hands forwards. Take a bow all the way down towards the earth. And if the body allows, really soften here. You might find that you're on the forearms. That's okay as well. But try to soften, especially the lower region of the body. Couple more cycles of breath here, nice deep revolutions of the breath. Let's begin to rise again together. So start to push into that left leg, either slide the hands back or walk them back towards that position. We want to pull the shoulders back, open the heart there and lift the chin. That's an inward breath. As we exhale, start to sink forwards again and off to one side. We want to lean out towards that left hand, sweep the right leg all the way around until eventually it's over the outside and the back of that left knee if it's available. Remember, option to release the left leg if this feels a little bit too tight, too tense. Slide the left hand up to the head of the right knee. Reach up and around, long spine, inhale. Exhale to lean into the heel of that palm. And then take the left arm skywards this time again. Another inward breath. Exhalation over the back of that left arm. And depending on our anatomy as well, sometimes you can get the right hand involved to sort of pull everything through. You know, if we're working with tummies and breasts and things like that, that can be helpful. And again, we want to long spine, inhale, lean into the heel of the palm. Option to bind that left knee if it's available. Little peek over the right shoulder, but we're not forcing the neck here, so don't kind of creak the neck. It's all about the spinal twist. See if you notice that tension in the abdomen when you release all of the breath that we had earlier on, that we mentioned earlier on when we were in our puppy, our Shishosana. Start to come back around through the center. Slow and steady. Searching for the big toe on the right foot. Hasta Padangusthasana. Extend out in front. Adjust that left foot, ready to be just inside the right thigh. As we lift the chin, sit tall, follow the leg down. We're pushing into the outside of that left ankle to control the descent for Janu Shirshasana. Take a bind maybe around the heel, the ankle. And again, lead with the heart space in the tummy. So instead of it being the head that drives you down towards the leg, try not to round off too much through the spine. So even with a lifted chin and just being here, this is much more honest in the way that you're folding and that you're lengthening the lower lumbar and you're pushing out and down with that left knee and lengthening the hamstrings, as opposed to just rounding off because you want to get the head down. Let's begin to rise again then. We can walk the hands back or slide them up the leg. This time it's left hand, hasta is the hand, pada is the foot. Takes that big toe, angushta. Extend out in front, then follow it down as we lift the chin, long spine on the way down. Paschimottanasana. We're not staying this time. As we rise, slide the hands back just enough when we're about a foot away from the hips for us to push and lift the legs up, ready for Navasana. Now you might find this is too much, we don't like this, the core doesn't like this. You can always go to forearms or the hands behind you to support. There's an option, of course, as well, to straighten and lengthen for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Best behaviour used to. Let's slowly lower to Ardha Navasana, the half boat, as our friends already there waiting for us. For 5, for 4, for 3. That's it. Really activate the core and the hip flexors in the legs there on the fronts of the thighs. For 2, for 1.5. For 1. It's the half plow. So feet to the sky. Pull the knees in first. Release head and shoulders. Hands down past the hips. Then pull the toes back. Push out through the heels.
Take a deep breath, let the tummy expand here. And then shrink. Release that tension with the outward breath. Keep those legs active for a moment. And then pointing the toes, slowly beginning to lower the legs away. We're going to work with control down towards the ground and then up into our bridge, our Setu Bandha Chaturanga. So as soon as the heels kiss the ground, bend the knees, ground through the soles of the feet and ease the shoulder blades under the back, ready to push the hips up towards the sky. If the shoulders feel all right, they're not too tense, you can interlace the fingers underneath the body. Bring the shoulder blades a little more underneath the back towards the spine. And then you've got long arms bound underneath the body. For 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Start to bring the tailbone back down towards the earth. Gently release the bind. Don't let the hands ping off. Then release the shoulder blades. Arms move wide here into that T position. And we'll drop the knees left to right, right to left. Remember those deep cycles of breath. And then come back to stillness. Soles of the feet can meet here. Let the knees drop wide, tuck the tailbone, bring the lower back a little closer to the earth. Maybe keep the arms wide, or perhaps bring the hands in, one onto the heart space, one onto the solar plexus. Or perhaps the weight of the hands and the forearms, just by bringing the hands onto the upper inner thigh. Gives the hips a little bit of help to open here. And we spoke about compression in the spine today, and how when we're seated, we've got to activate, and how when we're reclined, that we can be, it's safer for us to be heavier and looser. That compression is far less risk for us. So in these reclined positions, we can really surrender the body. We can let it be heavy and floppy and loose. Just draw the awareness inwards again to those deep cycles of breath. Enjoying that lifting sensation of the heart. We expand and broaden the chest, the tummy. And then the shrinking of the abdomen, the shrinking of the heart space, the entire upper body. That downward pull of gravity as well whilst we're grounded. It's almost like an increase in our weight when we empty the breath out. The earth pulls us a little deeper. So choosing to stay as we are, or Bringing the hands underneath the outside of the thighs, pushing the elbows into the mat, using the strength in the arms to help ease the knees closed. And you can keep them closed for a little while, maybe heel toe the feet towards the outside of the mat, so we've got that sort of recovery, counter position for the hips. You can take some gentle movement, or maybe any other last positions, a hug of the knees or a happy baby. Or perhaps, if we feel ready for it, if the body feels ready for it, we can extend and release the arms and legs, length and width of the mat. For Shavasana, that final position, that final relaxation. And we take stillness with the body. Allow the body to lead the way for us and show us the way here as well, as it starts to dissolve through that numbness against the ground. It starts to sink into the earth, that tether between our awareness, between the mind and the physical body starts to soften. And there's little fluctuations of thought dance around in the mind. We do the same. Let that tether, that tie between our awareness and the movement of thought, let that soften as well as we drift just outside of a daydream. Just breathe awareness into the body. Allow that breath to lift the heart space, to expand the tummy, the rib cage. And then discovering gentle movement in the fingers, the toes. The hands and the feet, the ankles and the wrists. Beginning to point the toes and lengthen through the legs. Take the arms over the head. Really stretch through the entire body. Expand again. And as we bring the arms back, it's an option to, very mindful of the lower back, hug the knees in towards the abdomen for a little rock side to side, or you can turn softly through one side. Either gently rocking forwards when we're ready into our seated position, or turning through one side and making our way there slowly, steadily. Let's find length one last time together. Reach wide and high. Taking the gaze skywards, connecting the palms. Bring the thumbs down to third eye to close with the Mahamrityunjaya. Aum Triyambakam Yajamaye Sugandhim Pushtivarthanam Varukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshyamamritat. Bringing the hands to hearts in. Om Shanti.